Welcome to the Author Show, where we present new authors and books. From fiction to self-help and everything in between, you'll find it all here. To watch the TV version of our program, visit authorswebtv.com. That's authorswebtv.com. And now, let the show begin with your hosts, Don McCauley and Danielle Hampson.
Hello and welcome back to the show. This is your host, Don McCauley. Today we're welcoming the program author Gunnar Angel Lawrence, and he is the author of Fair Play. Gunnar is a native Floridian with a love for the bizarre in thriller and mystery novels. He grew up in Orlando, where he likes to set most of his stories, and lives in Key West. He's currently working on the sequel to Fair Play entitled The Perfect Day. Gunnar, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Well, let's start with the big question. Tell us about this book, please.
Fair Play is a book that's set in Orlando, Florida. It's a story about a detective. One morning gets a phone call from his former partner, Glenn Kelly. A year earlier, Paul and Glenn had arrested a man named Jasper Davis for kidnapping, raping, and murdering two young girls. Kelly rushed the search of Davis's apartment, which rendered the evidence that they found useless, and his mistake led to a second trial for Jasper Davis. The story is about the attorney who defends Jasper Davis and Paul Friedman, who is trying to clear his former partner of some crimes that occur during the trial of Jasper Davis and the subsequent acquittal.
Now, who did you write this book for specifically?
I wrote this book for the person who wants to escape on the weekend with a thriller, the fan of the rapidly paced television shows, 24, Lost, Alias, things of that nature. There's a lot going on, and anybody who reads this book is going to get that kind of pacing throughout the book, and they're going to love it.
Now, would you say there's any type of central message or perhaps underlying theme that runs throughout the book?
I believe that there's a theme of there's a lot of things that people have to do every day. For example, Doug Lipton, who is the attorney for Jasper Davis, every day has to face the fact that his job is to do what he can to let guilty people free. And the struggles that he has with that are kind of central to what he's going through in the book when the bad guy, so to speak, kidnaps him and forces him to go undergo a trial.
If you could compare this book to any book out there we might already be familiar with, which book would it be and why?
I think the Mitch Rapp series with the espionage is a good comparison. The Stephen James novels with Patrick Bowers, because there's a lot going on in those books, and it switches from one character to another, explaining what's going on. It's one of those that you start reading and it's very, very difficult to put down.
What inspired the storyline of this book?
It was actually a conversation that I had with a friend in Orlando during the whole Casey Anthony case about how defense attorneys have to go to work every single day dealing with the guilt that they feel, and their job being that to free someone who they know is guilty of murder. And he told me that the attorneys have a quote that they use that says it's better to let 9 guilty men free than to convict one innocent man. And the book is inspired by, okay, what happens when somebody just completely snaps and can't deal with that guilt anymore.
Why did you choose Orlando for the setting?
Well, I grew up in Orlando, graduated here, and it's called the City Beautiful for a reason. It's got the convenience of a big city with enough areas tucked away under the giant oak trees and the public parks and things of that nature to still give it a small town feel. I'm a graduate of Boone High School there. There's just an excitement and action in this city that adds so much to the storyline. It's almost as if Orlando itself was a main character of the book.
Now, the summary states a reader's going to be forced to ask who are the real villains, so who are they?
That's a good question, isn't it? Prosecutors who, as a regular day-to-day part of their job, have to make deals with and compromises with murderers, rapists, and child molesters. Judges who allow their own biases to override what is true and right in the name of a fair trial. Attorneys who suppress or ignore their conscience in order to be effective at their jobs. And police officers who are forced to hesitate in making life and death decisions for the sake of securing a conviction that won't be overturned. All of these kind of come together to make even unintentionally villainous people perform villainous actions.
Is there a person who was the inspiration behind the detective Paul Friedman?
There are actually two people. One was a friend of my father's who saved his life in Vietnam, and the other is a real-life police officer. He's a combination of the best of these two men, blended with just enough imagination to make him who he is.
What is the purpose of Doug Lipton's conflicts as a defense attorney?
Well, I think it's the 9 guilty versus 1 innocent quote. He has a daughter that's the same age as Jasper Davis's victims. He has to, on a daily basis, push those feelings aside of what is right and what is wrong so that he can do his job effectively, and that job is to make sure that Jasper Davis is freed. And that basically puts his life through a living hell when the antagonist of the book, who Nixon names himself Justice, puts Doug through a living hell.
Now, the scenes with Doug Lipton being held captive are pretty intense. Why is the antagonist, Justice, so angry?
Well, Justice sees what we all see. We see injustice. We see cruelty. We see a countless number of victims that continues to grow as the legal system becomes overwhelmed with repeat offenders, soulless defense prosecutors, defense attorneys, and stressed prosecutors. Justice is someone who has just snapped from the insanity of it all, and he feels that he is righting a wrong in the situation.
Which of the main characters do you identify with?
I feel a little of myself in all of them. I understand that Doug wants to make a living and support his family, even if it means doing distasteful things in order to make money. I root for Paul, who spends a great deal of time trying to convince himself that his close friend Glenn Kelly isn't the one behind the events of the day. I sympathize with Justice, who is tired of innocent people getting hurt by the system, and I understand his desire to see some defense attorneys reaping what they sow.
If you could sum up the theme of this book in one word, what would that word be and why?
Thrilling. I would just have to say thrilling, because it's a lot of stuff that's going on at the current time in local areas all over, where you've got people who are questioning the wisdom of a verdict in a trial.
Would you say that you have a specific writing style?
I prefer the fast-paced style, like, as I said, the television show 24, or the final scenes in the Return of the Jedi movie, where the action is taking place on many fronts at the same time. They come together only at the very end, and that's what I love about watching television, about reading books. I like everything coming together at the end and just adding to the total package.
Who or what influenced your writing the most?
Well, I like the Patrick Bauer series by Stephen James. He wrote The Pawn, The Bishop, The Knight, and some others. He kind of blends his knowledge of geospatial science with the hunt for a serial killer, and I think it's just fantastic how he does that. Rapid-paced action. It gets you hooked from the page one on, and I just really enjoy reading his books.
Would you say that you're more of a character artist or more of a plot-driven writer?
I prefer a plot-driven story, but it's the way each individual character reacts in the middle of the plot that makes the story what it is. I like to put ordinary people into extremely extraordinary circumstances and see them go through that experience and come out on the other side changed.
What's the biggest benefit the reader's going to take away from reading this book?
Going back to the escape, I think it's a matter of sometimes it's just nice to be able to forget your troubles for a little bit of time and just enjoy the thrill of reading through a mystery, crime drama, thriller book.
Other than selling the work, of course, is there anything else you hope to accomplish with it?
Well, I want to introduce readers to a world of excitement, of intrigue as the novel unfolds. It's set in a real place with real-life characters. Orlando, if anybody's ever been there or lived there, they're going to recognize some of these areas. So it kind of presents this city, even though there's negative things going on, in a really positive light. And I think especially people who lived in Orlando will enjoy the book.
In your opinion, who should buy this book?
Anyone who likes an intense, rapid-paced action and thrill-a-minute storyline. If they like intrigue, mystery, guys like the mystery, the ladies like the handsome men involved. If I could pick one group of people that would really like this book, it would be males from age 28 on up to 45.
Time's getting very short, so the most important question, where can we buy this book?
You can find Fair Play on Amazon.com. It's also available in paperback through Amazon or CreateSpace. It's also available on Nook, Barnes & Noble, and several other sites. So pretty much anywhere, if you have an ebook device, it's going to be available for that device. And if you prefer paperback, you can get that on Amazon as well.
Could you spell your name for us, please?
Gunnar, and then Angel, Angel, and then Lawrence, Lawrence.
Well, this has been just great. Our guest today has been Gunnar Angel Lawrence, and he is the author of Fair Play. Gunnar, thanks very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
This is Don McCauley wrapping up another edition of The Author Show. If you're an author or know an author, learn how you can help a publisher publish you by visiting helpapublisherpublishyou.com. Each month you receive a listing of publishers, small presses, and others who may be interested in publishing your work. This is a free service of The Author Show. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit www.theauthorshow.com, fill out the form, and we may be contacting you shortly. And if you're an author, don't forget to visit Book Marketing, the Author's Marketing Powerhouse, at www.theauthorsmarketingpowerhouse.com. We look forward to seeing you here next time on The Author Show.
Thanks for listening to The Author Show. To contact us, call toll-free 1-877-955-8800. That's 877-955-8800. Or visit theauthorshow.com. That's theauthorshow.com. Tune in next time to another great author on The Author Show.